Hi everyone, this is Stren from ExtremeRigs.net, and today we're doing a quick unboxing of the Fractal Design Arc Mini. This is a mini ATX case. It's on the kind of medium range of the market. It's not really the super cheap case, but it's also not, the high-end either. So, there's no radiator support here. There's no, super advanced features, but there's better features than you'll find on a bargain basement case. So let's just put that up. Alright, so there we go. Not much in here. Have one user manual, that will need that. And here we are. You see there's one side vent here with 120mm spacing as well as 140. So you can mount either of those types of fan on there. Two front drive bays and a fan intake here. I think it's a dual 120 with hard drives behind that. We'll see that in a second. And then up here there's also a 2x120 mount. So we'll actually be using the Corsair H100 to mount up here. Oh, you can also see on here there's the power reset button, two USB 2s and the USB 3, headphone mic, and actually that's the reset button right there. So pretty standard stuff. It's nice to have that USB 3 though, some cases still haven't updated with those yet. Pretty standard layout on the back. You have 4 PCI expansion cards, pretty typical for Mini ATX, that's pretty much the standard. Got your power supply mount, 120mm fan included, and this, I don't know what that is yet, so we'll have to see. Looks like another expansion slot almost. So, well, let's take it out and have a look. Could be one of those slots for, sometimes there's an extra backplate here on the motherboard whereby we'll have extra USBs on there or 1394. There we go. So sometimes you don't want that to take up your space for your graphics cards, and so this would be a convenient place for that. So looking inside here, you can see there's two intakes at the bottom here, so you can mount a 120mm fan at the bottom here if you want to. You can see this dust covers on here, so you can take this dust cover off for ease of washing, which is nice. Big fan of removable dust covers. And what else do we have? Should be noted this back fan does not have a filter, but that's because it's exhaust. You should be filtering on your intake. Exhaust doesn't really matter. So let's see what else we can get to. There's some cable routing here. So you can come straight out of your power supply, go behind here, and then come out for your 24 pin and your 8 pins for your graphics cards here. So this supports a pretty strong build. You could put your 2 powerful graphics cards in, not have to worry too much about the cable routing. You can see behind the CPU cutout here, it's probably about an inch, maybe a little less than an inch there, to give you plenty of room for cable routing. If you are building a water-cooled build, obviously there's not much room in the case for radiators, but there are little grommets here for tubing, so you can run an external radiator, which is always nice. So let's get this top cover off, and the back cover. expose the whole first. You can see everything is painted black, kind of matte, slightly textured black paint on the inside, which is nice. In this kind of price range, kind of $100 price range, you'd expect to see that. Some manufacturers haven't caught up with that yet, but you know, they'll be there soon. So you can see again, period cables from the front, all routing through these cable routing holes. So pretty simple. You've got access to the back of the hard drive cages here. A little box here. Let's see what this is. Seems to be some tools and back plates and so on. We've got some cable ties. These are interesting. They have little screws on the end. I imagine there's somewhere on the case you can screw those. This is a fan controller that fits into a standard slot. So that's actually something you could put in that slot right there if you wanted to. It takes up very little space. And the knob would just stick out the back. It's very nicely included that. Wasn't expecting that. We've got a 3.5-inch bay adapter. So if at the front you want to mount a floppy drive, or sometimes they're smaller fan controllers, you can use that for that. And then a bag of screws, and you even have a little Allen key here with Phillips head on the top of it, which is kind of nice. So even if you don't have a screwdriver, you can assemble this thing. I would recommend buying a screwdriver, but you know, if you don't have one, I guess they're prepared for that. So that's a nice little touch. Take the top cover off now. You can see the whole thing is filtered out. And again, yeah. Filter's removable. Let's see if we can remove that real quick. These things are really sharp though. That just like, you can see it. Had a little pinprick on my thumb that's bleeding in. How does this come out of here? Do we bend these up? I bet we have to bend these up. Let's see. Well, I'm not sure. We'll figure that out later. Either way, I think they could have made those a little less sharp. Now if you look at the top, you can see again, you can have 140 mounts, 140, the bigger ones, and then 120 mounts here too. And it comes with, it looks like a 140mm fan at the top as well, which is kind of nice. So, I'm not sure how loud those fans are, but we have it. For the hard drive mount, you can see we have access for 6 hard drives here, and these are nice little quick release things. So you can screw your hard drive in from the bottom. Even comes with these nice little anti-vibration grommets, which is great, and also 2.5-inch SSD mounts too. So it's kind of nice that you know you can fit 6 hard drives or 6 SSDs or any combination thereof. And you can see there's some thumb screws here, which will just let you take these out. For example, if you want to run a radiator instead. A lot of people don't need 6 hard drives for a mini ATX build. Typically you might see 1 hard drive, 1 SSD. So, you know, the 3 bay is perfectly fine for most people. So you can take this out. If you are doing water cooling, you can mount a 240 up top, maybe even a 420 depending on the thinness and how your motherboard interacts with that. And then presumably you could mount a 120 in the front. So let's see if we can now remove the front panel. Some little plastic. Does not look like it's supposed to be easily removed, but it's coming out anyway. There we go. Okay, so here we go. Cable, yeah. So we got another fan here, and that's a 120mm fan. So in total you seem to get 2 120mm and a 140mm. which is kind of nice. And they're this kind of pretty white pattern. No idea how noisy they are yet, but still. So it seems you don't have to screw these in. They've built these little clips on here, which is kind of nice. It looks like a standard 25mm fan. So there we have it. This is the Fractal Design Arc Mini. Just a quick unboxing to show you basically what it has. We'll be doing a little build in here in a few minutes, and then we will come back and do a final review of the case after we've kind of tried to use it a bit. So there we go. That's it for now. I'll see you in a sec. Hey everyone, this is Stren from ExtremeRex.net. I just finished putting together, well, I say finished, it's not completely finished, but putting together for the first time the Fractal Design Arc Mini case, in which I put the Maximus 5G, the ROG Mini ATX board, along with the latest Ivy Bridge processor, 32GB RAM, and a old school graphics card. This is a workstation, so the graphics card is not a big deal. It's a 9800 GT for anyone who cares. So I learned some things along the way while building this. As you see, I haven't completely tidied it up yet. There's a bunch of wiring that needs to get sorted out. There were a number of things I noticed while I was building that I want to share with you. First of all, there's a lot of little details in the case that they've obviously thought out. I mean, everything from making sure that every screw is black, to making sure, you know, there's dust filters under here. There's options for fans in different places. The little hard drive isolation grommets. The fact that you can fit an H100 in here and just be able to mount a DVD drive. And the fact that this black plate lines up exactly with the end of the DVD drive, there's some nice touches right there. You know, you're not going to have your ugly, you know, standard metal DVD drive in the back kind of showing. So that's nice. You've also got these nice little aluminum, brushed aluminum finish on the feet there. And the feet are decently big so that it holds it far enough off the floor such that air can get in the bottom vents. Overall, I really like the case. For a mini ATX build, it's as small as you want to go while kind of retaining functionality. I'd argue that maybe you don't need 6 hard drive bays. However, if you run with just one SSD, for example, you could use that as a radiator space. So that's kind of nice. The fact that you can mount an H100 up here, okay, you can't run push-pull or shrouds or anything, but you can fit it there and not interfere with, you know, the base here. That's nice. And all of these cable routing grommets are kind of exactly where you'd want them. There's even like little rubber feet underneath the power supply, so you don't kind of scrape it up as you put it in and out. So it's just, you know, some kind of nice little touches that make you feel like you bought a quality case. On the downsides, one thing I didn't like, I took off the top earlier, can no longer get it to screw back in. Not sure what the deal is about that. You know, the screw holes are here, they work with the regular kind of thumb screws. However, they just don't seem long enough to meet the thread anymore. I tried pushing them in as far as I can, but they just don't seem to be getting there. So that was one thing I didn't like. The other thing, you know, there's been a lot of effort on, you know, making sure everything is black in the case except for the few white kind of standout pieces. You know, some of these wires, and so, you know, the fan headers aren't black. You know, so you can see some of these wires are shown here. If the sleeving was done just a little better on those, I think it would be the icing on the cake. And there's been so much thought that's gone into this, you kind of feel like let down on the final straw with that. But these are like really picky things, and to be honest, for the price of the case, I think it's a good deal. Yes, it doesn't have a removable motherboard tray, but at this price point, you wouldn't expect it. Yes, you know, it would be nice if it had more water cooling grommets or, you know, slightly larger ones. maybe some down here might be a little easier, or instead of this bay. Now that's another thing that they could do, but in the big scheme of things, it's not a big deal. The other thing is the side door. I'd like to see one with a window. Some people, they'll want the fan mount here. If you're running SLI GPUs, particularly, not so much the hairdryer ones, but the ones with the center mount fan, like the 560s, the 460s, stuff like that. If you're running two of those right next to each other, they tend to not get very good airflow. So just bear that in mind. For that, you'll want to run the side fan. So let me grab that panel real quick. This is quite a mess in here. Okay, so that does not go. So there we go. So we've got the door on now. And you know, I'm never a big fan of these setups where you have the 120 and the 140 mount. For anything that's internal, like this top area where you can't see it, it's awesome. But as soon as you put it on here, something on an exterior panel, it doesn't look good. So personally, I think they should just choose one or the other. It's not a big deal. It's not somewhere where you can mount a radiator, so just choose one, stick with it, and go from there. Like I said, window would be nice as an option. But that's pretty much the case. It's solid, it's pretty good. I wish, you know, some of the panels, like this top panel, I wish that was painted aluminum or even steel. You know, it's plastic and it feels, and you can trade this down, it feels a little cheap. So that's the case. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll be posting pictures of the build soon. Thanks.